Okay, so I want to welcome everyone to tonight's virtual college exploration session. We're here with Darren Wells from St Bonaventure. My name is Rebecca Merview. I am a volunteer with NJACAC. I'm also on the executive board. I'm a school counselor at Ridge High School in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. I want to welcome you all tonight. A few housekeeping items before we begin. The recording will be available for tonight's session as well as for all of our sessions, and you can find them on the njacac.org website. We still have sessions going on the rest of the week, and you can sign up for additional sessions also on our website. Just as a reminder, if this is your first time joining us for one of these events, your camera and microphone are off. So you are muted and the panelists cannot see or hear you. But you can ask questions by using the Q&A button. Simply type in your questions for the presenter at any time. And then I know towards the end of the presentation, Darren will take those questions for you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over now, and I hope you have a great session. Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca. I am going to share my screen and just give you a little introduction to who I am. So I am the admissions counselor for all of New Jersey, and I also recruit from Eastern Pennsylvania and slightly over to Western Pennsylvania as well. So what does it mean to be an admissions counselor? What is my job? Why am I talking to you right now? I am pretty much your go-to guy. So if you have any questions about the application process, what materials you need, anything like that, or just about the Bonaventure experience, I'm the person you can ask, especially with student life and all of that good stuff. I graduated from Bonaventure myself, and I actually just graduated last year. So still kind of fresh out, still in the loop with everything that's going on, both on campus and the surrounding areas and different opportunities like that. But with that being said, we can start the presentation. So this first slide that you're looking at gives you an aerial view of main campus. So this is where most of our residential halls that you'd be living in are, our academic buildings, the athletic fields, the dining hall. Those buildings are all here. We also have an east side of campus, which is right there. It's maybe a 3 or 5 minute walk, depending on if it's the winter or not and if you're cold. But really, campus is smaller and everything's really there for you super fast. Although campus and like all the buildings are in a small kind of tighter area, Bonaventure sits on 500 acres of land. So a lot of opportunity for those who are interested in running. That's my go-to because I ran cross country and track at Bonaventure. So that was one of the biggest things for me, but a lot of land, a lot of places for you to hike and explore, and a lot of cool opportunities like that. For those of you who aren't familiar with Bonaventure or who we are, this slide here will give you a little more information. So like I said, we're kind of small in physical size, but also in our student enrollment. With just over 2,400 students, we are able to have a 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. And what that means is you really have the opportunity to get to know your professors and really bond with them and build connections and long-lasting relationships. I still talk to my advisor who retired my junior year, and we text. She wishes me a happy birthday. I wish her and her husband a happy anniversary. And that's kind of just what it is in any academic program that you're in with any person that you're talking to, whether it be the president of the university or, like I said, your advisor and the person that's teaching your classes. We have over 50 majors and 45 minors. So I will kind of go more into those programs as well as we go through, but a lot of opportunity for you to kind of decide what you want to do and figure those things out. A couple more numbers I'll tell you about here are the 20% right there that you see in blue. So we have a 20% higher graduation rate than the national average. So we're seeing our students taking advantage of those opportunities to really build those bonds with their professors and the faculty members and those helping them and use what they need and the resources at Bonaventure to succeed. And that leads to 97% of our graduates either finding employment or entering some graduate school at some level within 6 months of graduation. I was lucky enough to, within a week of graduating Bonaventure, start my master's program, and then just 2 months later, start working for the university as well. So a lot of cool opportunities coming from that community that we see here at Bonas. Kind of a little bit into our history. We are the nation's first Franciscan university, and we were established in 1858. So we've been around for a while. So I want to go and focus on that Franciscan component. So being Franciscan is kind of a subset of Catholicism. So what does that mean? I can't see your faces, but sometimes when I bring this up, there are some people who are like obsessed with that idea and love that. And there's some people who are like, you know what, I don't want to have to wear a uniform. I don't want to be forced to go to mass. That is not the case at all. That is just our foundation in reality. And that's just kind of how we design some of our courses and our clubs and how we run ourselves as an institution. So being a Franciscan is all about giving back and being a part of a community and supporting the community that either you're from, you're going to, or that you're in the moment. And we do that through service. We do that through kind of acknowledging every individual's worth and their well-being and promoting a community full of um, people full of integrity and full of kind of educational drive. That leads me to kind of the outcomes that you get from Bonaventure. So you'll see here in big letters, value. What does that mean? What value? You might be thinking about value as in money, which plays a slight role into it, but it's pretty much getting the bang for your buck. So we all know college is an investment, and it's just making sure that when you come to Bonaventure, you are seeing the different opportunities and outcomes that you are hoping to once you go to college. You'll see that we are doing a pretty good job with that as well. So number 2, best value in New York State. Number 3 in the North. We're ranked 19th out of 179 for best regional universities in the North. And then we're number 9 in the North for best colleges for veterans. So those different communities, those different populations, we are all trying to make sure that everyone has the opportunities and the success that they are looking for when they're coming to St. Bonaventure. Next, this is just an overview of the different academic programs that we have. I won't read you this list, but you can kind of take a quick look at these things and see what we're offering here. I can send out a link, or you can go right on our website and you'll be able to check out these different academic programs, but we'll kind of go through the different schools in the following slides. So we'll start with our largest school, and that is the School of Arts and Sciences. So there's 16 different departments within this school, and I'll just kind of highlight some of our new and interesting majors, some of our unique programs that we have. First being criminology. Criminology started about my sophomore year at Bonaventure, so it's still relatively new. And that's just a program that kind of focuses on the ins and outs of crime. So why does it happen, the consequences of it, kind of analyzing those different components. And that is something that students who are interested in law enforcement will go into. Next would be cybersecurity, which is a subset of computer science. So if you're interested in all cyber crimes and things like that, this is the program for you. We have a cybersecurity center on campus that gives you the resources to use. So if you want to get some hands-on experience, that is open for you right out of the gate your first year as a student. So you don't have to wait to take advantage of those things. It's right there. Behavioral neuroscience is a newer program as well. And that's a combination between psychology and biology and a few other kind of subsets of those programs, and ties together for students who are interested in maybe becoming neurosurgeons. Anything like that in that field is something that's been very popular with some of my friends even. And that kind of leads me to the pre-med program, which is one of our most popular avenues to take. We have a few different partnerships with med schools. So for those who are interested in MD or DO or dentistry or pharmacy or physical therapy, we have opportunities for students to apply not only to Bonaventure, but to those schools as well before they even graduate high school. And then once you get accepted, you don't have to worry about taking certain medical tests, entry tests, those things, because you're guaranteed a spot in those different schools, which is awesome. Another program that's not on here, but I always love to talk about because I think it's so cool, is our individual major program. So that pretty much allows you to take some different things from our pre-existing programs and create your own major. One of my very good friends that I graduated with wanted something similar to Homeland Security. So she took political science, cybersecurity, criminology, and some international studies courses as well, and combined those all together to have a Homeland Security degree, and now works for an airline as an investigator. So some really cool things that you can do with that as well if you don't see the specific major you're looking for on that list of programs that is on our website or that we just kind of went over quickly. And then the last thing is our MAP program, which is also amazing. So if you are not really sure about what you want to do, don't worry. Let's say you're a junior, maybe you're a senior. Or you know what, you're about to start college next semester and you still have no idea. That is completely okay. So with the Major Adventures program, it allows you to push declaring your major off until your sophomore year. So you have about 3.5, 4 semesters to just dabble in different areas. So let's say you want to take something in the School of Arts and Sciences, School of Business, School of Communications. You can do that. You'll have an advisor who is also in charge of our general education program. So he's familiar with all the different subsets and all the different schools and programs that we have. And he will help you kind of figure out what you're interested in. And as you progress and begin to decide what major you pick, then the classes that you took that don't really have anything to do with said major will just count as electives or general education credits. You don't have to worry about it messing up your plan of graduating in 4 years. And it's a really cool opportunity to kind of take some of the pressure off your shoulders and begin to kind of figure out what you like by taking those different classes. The next school is one of our newest schools in terms of its existence, really, is the School of Health Professions. So it was created in 2016, which was my sophomore year, the beginning of my sophomore year. And it pretty much just takes our pre-existing science programs that we had, so like our pre-med track and things like that, and expands upon that. So you can see here some of our different programs. We have health science, public health. We have the opportunity for students who already possess their RN to finish and get their BSN. We have PA starting soon, and then we have OT starting soon as well. So these programs are all held in Francis Hall, which is on the east side of campus that I was telling about earlier. And also Francis Hall has its own cafeteria and also has some residence halls attached to it as well. So honestly, you can live in Francis Hall your sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and you don't even need to leave the building. You can just grab food, go to your class, and go back upstairs. I mean, you might want to check out the library and get some work done as well, but it's a great way if you're taking some 8:30s in that building and you're lazy like me. So the next school we'll talk about is the School of Business. The School of Business, the physical building that it's in is Swan, and that opened in 2013. Within the School of Business, we have about 6 majors and 9 minors. So we have like accounting, finance, marketing, sports management, all of these different programs, and they are incredible. A lot of times I'm asked, what's one thing I would change about my experience at Bonaventure? And my answer is always the same. One, I wish I would have at least minored in something in the School of Business. Two, I wish I would have gone skiing and used our student passes at the ski resort that's 30 minutes from us. But the one is what we need to focus on now. So I say that because there are so many cool opportunities in the School of Business. First, with this accreditation here, just about 5% of universities have this accreditation. So the fact that our School of Business and this smaller school has this is super impressive. Obviously, I'm biased saying that, but I'll go back to another reason why I think the School of Business is so incredible. And it's that internship and experiential learning opportunity that you see there. So every business major has to fulfill a certain number of internship hours. And it's not just like, all right, here you go. You see that you have to do this, go figure it out. You have an internship coordinator. That internship coordinator would work with you and also work with the Career and Professional Readiness Center, which we'll talk about a little later, and kind of work together to figure out what works best for you and what you would like to do. So they will figure out if you want to do something back home in New Jersey, if you want to do something in New York, and they'll put you in contact with different alumni, and then you can reach out to them and figure out what works best for you. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the people that I know that use those different resources and the opportunities that they had in some of the other schools that we'll talk about, which is actually this one right here. So I love this slide, and I love the fact that I went to Bonaventure because I know the people in this presentation. I know the people in these pictures, and I can tell you some of their experiences as well as my own. So in the School of Communications, you'll see we have 6 different majors from you to choose from. So broadcast journalism, journalism, media studies, strategic communications, sports media, and video production. So a wide range from things you can choose from. And let's say you're not really sure which one you want to choose. Again, you can kind of dabble in those different areas and figure out what works best for you. But the outcomes out of the School of Communications are incredible and have been for quite some time. We have 6 Pulitzer Prize winners coming out of the School of Communications. We have people who have worked for the Times, who have worked for USA Today, who've worked for Associated Press. We have so many cool alumni that are always willing to come back and give back, whether it be with lectures or just networking opportunities. And you'll see here some of the cool opportunities as well that we have in-house with these little symbols here. So first, we will talk about the accreditation of the journalism school. So just about 9 colleges, actually 8, the last one doesn't have full accreditation. So 8 schools have this accreditation in New York State, and those are like Columbia, NYU, Syracuse. So those are some big name communication schools, and Bonaventure's right there with them. But we'll focus on some of the cool opportunities that you'll have right in-house. So first, you can see ESPN Plus, which we have a partnership with. Bonaventure has Division I athletics. So in-house, if you're interested in sports media, anything like that, or just kind of broadcasting in general, you can work with the people who work at ESPN side by side, whether you're in front of the camera or behind or in the truck producing everything. You can kind of learn as soon as you get here, your first year, what goes into making that show happen. Another way you can kind of get hands-on experience, again, right out of the gate, is with SBU TV, which is our student-run news show. So again, if you want to be in front of the camera or behind, you have that opportunity, and that's broadcasted on the TVs on campus, on Facebook, on certain channels in the area every Friday. So you can have your families watch, and it's really a cool experience to kind of, again, figure out if that's what you really want to do in your career once you leave Bonaventure. For those who are interested in radio, we also have WSBU, The Buzz, which is always in the top 5 ranking college student radio stations as well. So a lot of very respected and very established opportunities coming out of the School of Communications. But to go back to what I was saying with the internship opportunities and the stories that some of my friends have shared with me, like I was saying in the School of Business, right here comes with this guy. So his name is Bryce, and he is a good friend that graduated a year before me. He is from kind of close by the Rochester area and didn't want to go back there to fulfill his internship requirements. So he worked with his internship coordinator, worked with the CPRC, and was like, you know what, where can I go? What do I want to do? And so he found an alumni in Phoenix, met with him, chatted with him, and flew out to Phoenix for a summer. Worked covering stories there on a news show, and really had some incredible opportunities that came from kind of being on top of his game and working with his coordinator and with the CPRC to kind of figure out what would be best for him and what would best fit his interest and kind of shape what he wanted to do with his life. The last school I will talk about is the School of Education, which follows suit with the same other schools that we were talking about. There are 8 undergraduate programs. So if you're thinking about adolescent education, secondary education, elementary, early childhood, inclusive education, those are all programs that you can go from here. And this one is taking what we already have established with those internship hours and cranking it up a notch. So you'll see 1,000 hours in practicum sessions, which just means hands-on experience. You're in the classroom beginning your first year as a student at Bonaventure. So 1,000 hours seems like a lot, but it's really a lot of time for you to get to become familiar with the profession, for you to really truly understand what you are about to begin, what journey you're about to start. And it's so incredible how they run their program. So you'll meet with your advisor and you'll literally set up a plan for the next 4 years. And they do that because the more you progress in your career as an education student, the more time they want you to spend in the classroom. So they want you to be able to kind of knock out some of those general education requirements, some of those core classes that you need to, so that when you become a junior or a senior, you can spend 3 out of 5 days of the week in the classroom, working with a teacher, making lesson plans, implementing those lesson plans, and getting some real life feedback from the teacher that's supervising you and the students that you're working with, and making sure that the ideas that you have are really resonating with the kids or the students that you're working with of whatever age range you choose from. Next, we will talk a little bit more about the CPRC that I've been mentioning. So the CPRC, as I said, stands for Career and Professional Readiness Center, and they pretty much just make sure that you have all the resources you need when you're looking at internships, when you're looking at full-time jobs, when that point comes at the end of your college career. Just making sure you have the qualifications and the qualities that you need to enter the professional world and succeed in it. And they do that by implementing a few things. One is the EDGE certificate program. The EDGE certificate program is something that you can put on your resume, and that's because it's a few different series and events. So they'll have alumni or just people come in and provide lectures, provide advice that you can talk to, you can call. They'll also do things like etiquette dinners. I've done a few etiquette dinners, and I still, I guess, don't cut a steak properly, but whatever. I got a job, so it's okay. And then we also have something called Handshake. So through Handshake, not only can you apply for on-campus student employment while you're going through your time at Bonaventure, but you can also use that as a resource for looking at jobs or internships outside of Bonas. So we open it up to Bonaventure alumni or just supporters of the university, whether they work in HR, they're presidents, CEOs of different companies, and we let them upload their internships and their jobs on that site. And a lot of times they'll do that before they upload it anywhere else, like LinkedIn or Indeed. And it gives Bonaventure students a leg up. I will say this, and I will never change my mind about it. I think it's a good thing. Bonaventure students are kind of spoiled, and it's amazing that we have that opportunity because we're a smaller school. And really believe in supporting each other and kind of being there for each other. And that goes from anywhere on campus, whether it's with a professor, whether it's with someone who is just walking past you in the dining hall. Everyone kind of supports each other and is there for one another. But the CPRC is super helpful in tailoring your resume, and they'll do that for any specific internship or job that you're looking for. They'll do mock interviews with you so that you can kind of get over some of those interviewing nerves and work on some of the skills that you need to have a good and successful interview. They'll even go as far as offering gift cards to buy professional attire. So they are incredible with what they do. They helped me so much when I was applying for grad school, when I was going through the interview process for this job, and it worked. So it's really nice to have that right on campus, and they're all incredible people over there. Now for some of the fun stuff. Not that anything that I just talked about wasn't fun. It was all fun, but we'll talk about student life here. So over 80% of the student body participates in either club, intramural, sports, or just recreation activities in general. So our Richter Center is kind of our hub for all of those activities. It's also our student gym where you can work out and do all those cool things, but it's where the offices are for the leadership members in campus activities and things like that. We have over 75 clubs. So whether they're social clubs, athletic clubs, academic clubs, all of those are run through that building there. Every fall semester, we'll have a club and organization fair. So we'll have a bunch of tables lined up with students who are the leaders of their own clubs. And you can just walk through and sign your name and figure out what clubs you're interested in and get more information. I always tell students to do that because it's a great way to figure out what's on campus, but also a great way to begin finding the people that you want to start hanging out with and finding your core group. I was super involved during my time at Bonaventure. I probably did way too much, but it allowed me to meet so many different people and so many people that are some of my best friends to this day. A lot of other cool things coming out of Bonas is first year experience. So those are for students who are just coming in, whether it be for your first year of college or if you're transferring into Bonaventure and it's your first year here. So we want to make sure that Bonaventure is the place for you. We want to make sure that you feel at home because that's what Bonaventure will hopefully become for you and usually and typically does. So we do that through a few different things. SBU 101, which pretty much just kind of teaches you all about Bonaventure, tells you the different places that you need to know. Let's say you need to drop off a form to add a second major. Who do you need to talk to? Who's the registrar? Where is his office? Where's his department? Who works with him? Whether it's just learning the lingo that we use for different buildings on campus or how we refer to each other. What's a Bonnie? What's the RC? What do these things mean? Those are all things that you'd learn in SBU 101. So it's kind of just a way to kind of introduce you to the Bonaventure community. We also use peer coaching. So peer coaching is something else that I did when I was here at Bonaventure. And it's pretty much just an upperclassman who reaches out to you during your summer leading up to your first year at Bonas. So introducing themselves, letting you know that they're there for you. And then you'll meet a couple times throughout your first semester. They'll help you set up classes. They'll help you find your classes. I would go to the dining hall and eat pizza with the students that were just coming in. So it's kind of just being someone there for you right out of the gate. And that's really a helping and guiding hand for the different experiences that you're going to have for the first time when you're coming to Bonas. The last thing that first year experience also does is core, which is our collegiate opportunities to reach excellence. So that's pretty much just another resource for you to use if you are maybe struggling grasping some materials in a certain class, or just kind of struggling with being a college student in general. You'll have different people working with you to kind of make sure that you have what you need to begin climbing over those hurdles, and they'll be there for you every step of the way. All of these things tie into that 84% freshman to sophomore retention rate that you see. So that just means students who come for their first year and then decide to come back. And I can be an example for you. Freshman year, loved it. Sophomore year, loved it. Junior year, senior year, loved it even more. I was like, I'm coming back for grad school. And then I was like, hey, you know what? I'll just work here too. So hopefully you all become as obsessed with Bonaventure as I have, because it's truly a special place. So like I was saying earlier, we're really grounded in service and giving back to not only the community that we're a part of, but our surrounding communities and abroad. So we do that with different organizations that you can see here: Embrace It Africa, Bana Buddies, which is kind of like a big brother, big sister, little brother, little sister mentorship program. Bana Responds, which does exactly what it says. It responds to things. So whether it's a natural disaster or someone just finding themselves in some unfortunate circumstances. So let's say when there's a hurricane, Bono responds, if able, will go and provide whatever relief that they can, whether it's cleanup or it's rebuilding businesses, rebuilding homes, or if it's someone in the area that, let's say, is in a wheelchair and doesn't have the proper access to their home, aka like a ramp or something like that. Bono responds, that team will go and build that ramp at their house for them. So those are the different type of things that we're doing on campus. I will talk a little bit more about two more of these programs that I have some experience with, and I think they're all incredible. But these two are really cool and offer some really nice and consistent opportunities for you. So the next will be MERT, which is MERT and stands for Medical Emergency Response Team. So these are certified EMTs that work together with safety and security and their students and will be first responders to an incident on campus. So let's say, example, my freshman year, my roommate got hurt playing basketball in the Richter Center. One of the MERT officers got a page. They went over with security and assessed the situation. So the MERT officers are the ones kind of giving that first triage and seeing if the person needs to go to the hospital, what next steps need to happen. So it's a great way if you're interested in the medical field later on in life to get some hands-on experience with those things, which is awesome. And then the last one I'll talk about is the Warming House, which is a student-run soup kitchen that we have just about 2 or 3 miles down into town that Bonaventure owns. And like I said, it's student-run. So students will plan the meals, cook the meals, serve the meals, and then eat the meals with the people who are using this resource. And you really get to hear some stories and really appreciate where you are and the opportunities that you have being a Bonaventure student. So it's awesome to be able to give back. I did that alone or with my teammates so many times throughout my 4 years at Bonaventure, and it was truly something that taught me a lot and caused me to really reflect on the opportunities and how lucky and privileged I am to be where I am and just appreciate those things in life, which is really the goal when we're talking about that Franciscan identity and the idea of giving back and being a part of a community. You really want to understand you as an individual and what you can do to give back to better that community that you're a part of. Res life. So where are you living on campus? So there are a few different options for you to live on campus, like I was saying in that first slide when I gave you that aerial screenshot of campus, of Bonaventure. So our first year students will live in Robinson, Falconio, Laughlin, or Doyle. Those are our first year residence halls. And we have some other options on main campus for sophomores, juniors, and seniors, whether that be in Shea, which is suite style, or in Dev, where you can have a single or a double. And then we also have some opportunities on the east side of campus. So we have townhouse apartments and garden apartments where you'll have your own kitchen, your own bathroom, your own stove, your own living room, and you're kind of getting that off-campus feel, but you're right there on campus, like I said earlier, 3 to 5 minutes away. So the idea behind our housing policy is we want to make sure that students have every opportunity that they can to have access to the learning center, to the library, those academic resources. So we require that our students live on campus their first 3 years. So freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And then senior year, if you decide to live off campus, that is completely up to you. You're more than welcome to do so. But if you decide to stay on campus, you are guaranteed housing all 4 years. So you don't have to worry about that as well. The basic setup of each room within a residence hall is, if it's a single or if it's a double, kind of depending, each person will get a bed, a dresser, a desk, a chair with a desk, and then a closet space of some kind. So some rooms have built-in closet spaces, some rooms have wardrobes, some rooms have both. So the general idea is you'll get those things, and then you can kind of move things around and set things up how you would like. There's free laundry in every residence hall. So all you have to do is pay for your own laundry detergent, fabric softener, those things, but you don't have to worry about like putting quarters in a washing machine. I didn't experience that until I moved off campus for my senior year in my apartment. The washing machine we had to put coins in, and I was like, you know what? I wish I was still on campus. So if that keeps you on campus, there you go. Maybe you're not as cheap as me. And then also campus safety and security is attached right to Robinson. So Rob and Fal are literally across from each other. Safety and security is connected right to Rob. That's where you can go to the lost and found. There's parking administration to pick up your decal if you're bringing a car to campus. Speaking of that, yes, first year students can have cars on campus. You can have car your all 4 years here. You just have to pay for the decal every academic year. But you can go in there, and that's where they'd be 24/7, and you have access to that. So talked a little bit about this earlier. Bonaventure is Division I. We are in the Atlantic 10 Conference, except for men's lacrosse. Men's lacrosse is in the MAC conference, but all Division I, and it's awesome because that kind of surprises some people when you're talking about the size of the university, but super cool. I enjoyed my time as a Division I athlete on the cross country and track team. It really taught me a lot about being a team member and being a leader during my time as a captain. But like I said, if that's not for you, we also have club and intramural sports. So maybe you don't want to make the commitment to Division I, and that is completely fine. Feel free to check out some of our club and intramural sports. So most of what you see here for the varsity level sports are reflected in those areas as well, those club and intramural sports. And then we have some interesting ones as well, like racquetball, which I didn't know what that was. But if you're interested in that, those are there for you. The last thing I'll talk about on this is just a fun fact. This isn't me in the picture, but for my 4 years at Bonaventure, I was the flag runner. And then for a week, I was in the mascot. But it was a fun week. I ended up being on Jimmy Fallon. So if you want to check that out, you can. Very interesting time. But Jimmy is a great guy. So that was a cool experience that Bonaventure kind of gave to me. Now to what you're all probably wondering about. What's the admissions process like? What do you do? What do you need to know? What do you need to submit? So first and foremost, we're rolling admit, which means there's no deadline to apply. Whenever you get your application all ready to go, you can submit it. With that being said, there is a deadline for those medical school programs I was talking about. So the MD, DO, pharmacy, and so on. Those programs do have a deadline, but if you're thinking about majoring in business or you're majoring in just biology, pre-med without thinking about those dual admit programs, no deadline for you to worry about. Where can you find the application? If you are looking at a bunch of different schools, use the Common App. It makes the process way easier, streamlines it. Or if you're like, you know what, Duran, you killed this talk right now. I love this place. I just want to apply to Bonaventure. You can go right to our website and use Bonaventure's application. Both options are free for us, so you don't have to worry about cost for that. When it comes to the application, what do you need to do? Fill out basic information, so your name, what you're thinking about majoring in, all that cool stuff. And then we'll need your transcript from your counselor. So if you're using Common App, they'll get a link and they'll get access to upload that document. Or if anything goes wrong, anything like that, the counselor can email your transcript directly to me. But either way, it has to come directly from the counselor so that we can consider it official. Next, I will talk about the essay. So there are a few different prompts that you can choose from. Some are talking about like obstacles you overcame, a great moment in life, things like that. just about 250 words, so it's not anything too aggressive. But I normally tell students to use that opportunity as a way for you to explain who you are beyond what I might see in your transcripts, beyond what I'll see in your letters of recommendation, kind of who you are as a person. A perk of being at a smaller school is we can look at applications holistically. So we can see the clubs you're involved in, the service you've done, what you're interested in doing, and look at what Bonaventure has to offer and look at what you have to offer Bonaventure. Do we have the environment that's going to support you, encourage you, and set you up for success? And are there things that you can bring here and make us better? So we're looking at those things as well. So kind of telling me a little bit more about who you are as a person goes a really long way. Speaking of letters of recommendation, you need one to complete your application, but normally if you want to submit like 1 to 3 or 4, you can do that coming from a counselor, coach, employer, teacher. Great. Feel free to submit as many as you'd like. I mean, you don't need to submit like 20 because that we get it. You're great. No, but you're more than welcome to do that. The last piece of kind of the materials needed are the test scores, and they're not really needed because Bonaventure is test optional. So if you decide to submit those scores, feel free. You can do that. But if you don't want to, you can just mark on the application you don't want us to view your scores. You're not submitting them. Um, We'll talk a little bit more about why we look at scores and how we've kind of changed that with this new test optional status in the next few slides when we talk about merit scholarships and things like that. When we're looking at your grades, we're looking at a weighted average from your freshman to junior year. So those 3 years, that's what we're looking at. So if you're a senior now, whatever you were at last year, when you ended last year, that's what we're looking when we're considering your application. We'll also look at your senior year grades just to make sure that you're not dropping where you were before and just making sure that you're preparing for college in the best way possible. If you're taking AP or IB classes or dual credit classes, college classes, we will take those as well. And that'll kind of knock off some general education requirements or maybe even some requirements within your major so that you don't have to take some of those classes, or maybe you can even graduate a semester or a year early. So to talk about a little bit more about like an idea of what some of the scores look like, here is a look at what our incoming class of this fall looks like on average. So about an 89 GPA, which is about a 3.3 on the 4.0 scale. And then if you're thinking about submitting your test scores, ACT was about a 23, SAT was about 1125. Again, optional, so you don't have to do that. We have about 25% of our students from outside of New York State, and hopefully you all will decide to come and we'll crank up that number a little bit more. And then we have about 24 foreign countries represented in our student population as well. Now we can talk a little bit more about those merit scholarships. So what are those? These are based on your high school GPA, so freshman to junior year, like I was saying, and then your test scores if you decide to submit them. And our merit scholarships range from 9,000 to 25,000. And merit scholarship is automatically considered for you, nothing you have to apply for. Once we get all those numbers from you, so transcripts and things like that, and your test scores, if you submit them, will automatically let you know which one you're eligible for. And then this is given to you all 4 years. Some of them require a certain GPA level that you need to maintain throughout your 4 years, but all of that is done right there for you as well. Like I said, if you're not submitting your test scores, we look at the consideration for your merit scholarships a little differently. And what I mean by that is we're not looking at ACT or SAT. So we're going to look at the rigor of your courses, what clubs you're involved in, and how all those things tie together and how well you're balancing those things to kind of determine what tier of merit scholarship you're going to fall into, which leads me to the financial aid portion of this conversation. So the biggest thing I want you all to take from this conversation, if there is just one thing you're gonna kind of keep in your mind after I've been babbling at you for 40 minutes, is those two schools right there. So when you look at that first line on school A and school B, when you're considering a school, you're thinking, oh, 23,000, you know what? That's better. You know, that's better than 45,000 with school B. And school A might be kind of more representative of a state school, and school B is a little more representative of school like Bonaventure. You see that 23 and you're like, you know what, I need to go here. Please, regardless of where you're looking, complete the FAFSA, which opens October 1 every year. So it's been open for just under a week now. fill those out, put all the schools you're looking at, and see what they're offering you. Because once you hit that second line, you'll see that school A is only offering you 6,000, leaving you with 17,000 to pay for. But school B is offering you 31,000, leaving you with 14,000 to pay for. So although school A is at surface level $22,000 cheaper than school B ends up being $3,000 cheaper than school A was. So using that, and I'll tie this back into us not having a deadline, don't wait until the last minute for those things. Apply as soon as you can, get those FAFSAs submitted, and see when the schools are going to start giving you those student aid packages. Because you can tell me, you know what, Duran, school C is offering me $2,000 more than Bonaventure is, but I really want to go to Bonaventure. But you know what? This is what I can afford. You can send me that student aid package. I can go to financial aid and start advocating for you and introduce you to the people that you need to talk to, your parents need to talk to, whoever needs to talk to begin seeing if there's more money available to give you to make Bonaventure that much more realistic, that much more affordable, and make that dream of you coming to Bonas come true. In addition to that, I recommend students looking at private scholarships, whether it's through a community foundation or through your high school. There is so much untapped money out there that people don't use that's just kind of sitting there. I looked into that, and there was a chemical company back home that I applied for a scholarship. I got it, and I ended up getting the entire thing because no one else applied for it. So there are a lot of things like that out there that you should really look into, because it'll make those numbers that much smaller for you and make whatever school you're looking at, even if it's not Bonas, that much more realistic for you to attend. Like I said, FAFSA opens October 1, so looking into that. And it'll also allow us to see what federal aid you're eligible for and what other kind of need-based grants and opportunities we can provide for you as well. With that being said, you can follow us on any social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can contact us at admissions@sbu.edu or give us a call at that number, and then tell them that you want to talk to the best admissions counselor here, and then they'll forward you right to me, because who's better? No, but it has been a pleasure chatting with everyone. If anyone has any questions about anything, you can feel free to throw those in that Q&A section there. But I have enjoyed this, and I hope that you have as well. I will stop sharing my screen now, and we can see.
I think you were thorough.
Love to hear it. And also, I guess I'll just say my email is the letter D, WELLS@sbu.edu. So feel free to send me an email as well. I always have my phone on me and my email open, so I respond like I'm texting.
That was great. All right, let me share my screen here. Okay, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. There will be a quick survey as you close this window. It's just 4 questions. If you could take the time to do that. And like I said earlier, we do have more sessions available, so just jump on to njacac.org. And this recording, as well as all of our sessions, will be available on our website. Thanks everyone for coming. Thank you, Darren. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a great night, everyone.